going to feel that hurt and that loss. So it probably could have been a stranger, and it would have been the same thing for me. Just the volunteers, and uncontrollable breathing and sobbing.
The definition of ugly crying.
Yeah, I try not to make those faces. Hand over face.
Yeah.
The John Cena, you can't see me.
Sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And my wife, she knows too, when I was telling her, like, Albert wants me to pray for his mom and his family. And I said, I'm going to fall apart. And she already knew, and she helped me through it. And, it matters. You have to have a staple in your life. And my wife is my staple. She's my strength and my weakness. God's my strength always, but, my wife is my present and my gift. And I just want to honor that and make sure that I'm carrying myself the right way. I've failed, not perfect in any way, but, it makes life easier when you have that partner in your life that can pick you up when you're down and exalt you when you're high, but keep you humble, and vice versa. And, she's always been that for me in our worst and in our best. And I, just have an unending debt of gratitude for her and her heart. She's an amazing, tremendous woman that she deserves the best of everything. I want to just make sure she has that.
That's awesome. How did y'all meet?
She messaged me on MySpace.
Oh.
Yeah. She didn't know anything about me. I think she just maybe saw a picture, and she said, "You have such kind eyes." And I was like, you had me at kind eyes.
Yeah.
It was just, for me, it was like, oh my gosh. I was struck. She had me from that moment. And, we've pretty much been together since. We talked online for probably a month, talked on the phone for a couple months, and then we finally met in person on December 24th. She was an early Christmas gift for me years and years ago, almost 18 years ago.
Wow.
And here we still are. Hanging in there.
I mean, it's cliche to ask, but what's the secret for 18 years?
It's her. It's not me.
Oh, okay.
No, I think the secret is you have to have a foundation, and, we struggled for a good bit of years with that because we met on a party premise. It was to go out and party and have a good time. And then the kids came along, and it's like, well, the party's over for her, but not for me. So I'll be home later,
right.
and we really had to fall apart to be put back together. And, in 2012 when we got saved and we started committing our time, to the Lord and changed our whole trajectory because, our path was destined to fail, and, like many marriages. And it's one of those things where, the world's okay with that. Well, it didn't work out. You guys can get a divorce and move on. And, according to our belief is no, we're not going to get a divorce. We're going to fight through this, and we've got to do something different. So we opened up the book and got involved in our church and started, pushing forward through that. There's a lot of hurt and pain, throughout our time together that we dealt with and still deal with today, but it's just knowing how. It's like, how do you fight? Is it the end of the world when you guys throw down, verbally, you say things you don't mean, or is it like, hold on, let's take a breath and reassess the situation here. And how can we do this better? How can we be a better example for our kids? Teach them how to struggle, but not fall apart either. What kind of fruit are we putting out there, or what are we seeking? And early in my career, I was a Twitter guy and a Facebook guy, and I liked to hear people say things to me, and it just wasn't good. And a profound statement my wife once made was, these people love you, but if you weren't doing what you were doing, would they care about you? If you tomorrow stopped announcing, would they even care? You know, you would go away and someone else would come along. But one thing that's going to stick is going to be us. You know, your family's always going to be there. And, you know, it makes so much sense because it's a cruel reality. You know, you're loved by the world until you do something that doesn't please them, and then you're outcast. You know, or you're insignificant, but your family's not going to treat you that way. You know, of course it could happen that way. You can completely exile yourself from them, but that's a choice. You know, every action's a choice, and every choice has a consequence. So if you make good ones along the way, you should be okay. And you're going to be in some sticky situations, but again, you still got a choice for that action.
I love that. So true too. Because, I mean, you even talked about it earlier. Just the moment you do something people don't like, all of a sudden they turn their back on you like it's the easiest thing in the world.
Right.
Yeah. Now, you've touched on it, but a couple times, but not really put it out there. Do you see yourself retiring anytime soon? Is it something that you see yourself going the Vince Scully route where, you know, you're going till the wheels fall off? What do you see yourself? How does the future look for you?
I mean, that really isn't up to me. You know, I believe it's in God's hands. And, you know, if I'm to keep doing this for, you know, 20 years, 30 years, I mean, geez, I'll be 78 years old in 30 years. You know, I know Michael Buffer ran until 78. He's turning 79 this month. And I don't anticipate going that long. Maybe I'm not going to even venture to throw a number. You know, I'm just going to roll with it. And, my wife has put together our retirement, so we're preparing for that, and we've invested in a couple properties that, you know, if we have another pandemic, we can go hide, you know, or something. But I mean, I love what I get to do, but it does wear my family out, and thankfully I've been able to take them along with me. I took my son to Boston last week, and he went to a show with me and my wife to Costa Rica this last weekend for a show. And, you know, we'll go to New York this week for some boxing. So I've been able to do that. The compensation, you know, allows for that here and there, but it's not every time we get to do that. But that's why we moved to Vegas. You know, I've become a bit of a magnet to the Apex, and I appreciate that. So we made a choice, you know, last year to relocate from Georgia. We're originally from California, but we were in Georgia for 4 years. And I was very much against it, but you know what? It keeps me off a plane, and I get to go to my son's football games on Saturdays, and then I can go to work right afterwards at the Apex if I'm working that night. Or we're in California, we take the motorhome down and stay for a long weekend and just enjoy that time. So that's what matters right now more than anything is, you know, we have two older girls that are out of high school and on their own, and we have, you know, 2 teenagers that are impressionable and vulnerable, and we need to stay present. And you know, that impact that parents have on their life, on their children's life is so significant, because if you're not speaking into their life, then somebody else is, and it could be the wrong message. And you know, we've encountered those moments too, and we know we need to be together through most every situation. You know, we need to bounce things off each other, and know our kids need to know that mom and dad are available for, you know, difficult moments and good ones. You know, if I'm missing my son's game and he has to call me and tell me about it, I feel terrible because I wasn't there. You know, so
that's amazing that you are so present for your kids. And like you said, they're going to remember that years from now, not as much as dad was announcing this fight, dad was out doing this fight. Like, they're going to remember, like you said, if you're not there for your son's football games, the fact that he's going to tell you what happened as opposed to you seeing it and then you guys having that conversation. Or, you know, if your daughter does have situations, so instead of her turning to a YouTube person, she turns to you and asks questions and asks advice. So I love that you say that you guys make sure you're there on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, I know my wife's been there every day, and with me, the last few years of crazy, chaotic travel, I've just been absent, and it affected them to a point I didn't even realize. So we had to make some adjustments, and I feel like we're in a really good place now. We'll never be perfect in any regard, but our kids at least have us both together, and that matters. My parents were always together, and even through chaos, but I always knew where they were. I always knew when dinner was. It makes a difference to have some routine. We're still kind of a mess, when it comes to that. We don't have any set dinner schedule. It's not dinner at 6 and be there or you miss out.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes it's 8 o'clock. We haven't eaten yet. Okay, I'll run to In-N-Out. Time just gets away. Real life happens, and how you handle it. What's your character in those situations. So we've been blessed for sure.
That's awesome. Now, I have a segment on the show. I call it the 5 count. So it's 5 random questions. You just answer as quick as possible.
All right.
What would your last meal be?
Good one. So that's going to be a porterhouse, 20 ounce, medium rare, asparagus, loaded baked potato, probably a sweet potato too, with cinnamon and butter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think I'd probably stop there and then top it off with some strawberry ice cream or a shake.
Very nice.
Yeah.
If you owned a liquor company, brewery, winery, or coffee shop, which one would you own and what would the name be?
Coffee shop, and my wife was just talking about this. We were talking about, what's the name of our coffee shop? The Secret Place.
Ooh, I like that. That's good. Yeah, because where are you going to go? The Secret Place? What's that? People want to go automatically. What are 3 things people would not expect about you?
3 things people wouldn't expect. I like to sing.
Oh.
My nickname's JoJo Dancer, but I'm not a very good one. And, what's one more thing they might not expect about me? I love to mountain bike.
That's a good one.
Okay, cool. Yeah. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Who or what inspires you?
I'm inspired by good character. It makes me want to be a better person.
That's awesome. And what would you tell your 17-year-old self?
Get yourself together, because you're gonna become a mess, and it's gonna suck, and you're gonna have a lot of hard times, and you're gonna be tested constantly every single day. So get on the right path today, so you can avoid those struggles. At least know how to handle them.
True. Now, if people wanted to find you online, follow your career, support you, how can they do all the things?
I'll give you my routing number and my bank account. I'm hard to find. I think you found me on LinkedIn, so that's probably the only platform I exist on. I do have an Instagram. I haven't been on it for over a year, so that's don't even know what that looks like today. But that's pretty much it. LinkedIn.
There you go. Well, Joe, thank you so much.
You have to really look hard to find me, and I can truly attest to that, because there was a fella a few years ago who wanted me to be in this Korean movie as a ring announcer called Divine Fury, if anybody ever wants to look it up. And he couldn't find any social on me, and he went to our Anchor of Hope USA ministry website that my wife and I had, and he messaged that website, and I'm out mowing the back 2 acres in Georgia, and she goes, "Hey, this guy reached out. He says